This movie was super bland and just nothing like the book. It's nothing new. A lot of movies changed it from the book, and I don't expect it to be exactly the same because books are usually way longer and have hundreds of pages. So obviously some shit is going to get left out. But this movie leaves in like the least important things and takes out important things. Or just changes stuff that's not really that important for seemingly no reason. Like, I haven't read the books in years. For at least 3 years, I think. When I first watched these movies, I had recently read the books. I read the books before the movies. I read like all 6 of them, I think there is. And then I watched the movies. I found them out after the books. But anyway, I didn't care for those movies years ago. They were decent, is what I thought then. But now I really didn't like it. The movie starts off almost exactly like the book, if we skip the little short-ass scene with Poseidon and Zeus arguing. They have a scene where Percy tries to read something on the board because Miss Dodds tells him to read even though other people raise their hand. And he's the only one that doesn't raise his hand almost in the book. But she calls on him because she wants to see if he can read it or not. To see if he really is, a demigod. They actually have that scene in the movie. A 5-second scene in the movie. Then there's, in the book, Annabeth was a pretty interesting character. One of my favorite characters in the book. She is super bland in this movie. Nothing like her, and doesn't even have her invisibility cloak. I'm pretty sure she has an invisibility cloak. Unless I'm thinking of Harry Potter. No, it's an invisibility hat. She does not have that in this movie at all. It's what helped them a lot through the book. And she's just really bland. Then Grover sucks in this movie too. He's kind of cringy. He's just the stereotypical funny friend. And then that's really all he is. Him getting his horns in the book was like a really important moment in this. He just kind of like, hey, he's got horns. Isn't that cool? No, it's not. Did not care for Grover in this. And the mist in this movie doesn't really seem to exist. Or at least they don't mention it in the books. There's this thing called the mist that kind of like hides monsters or just, stuff like that. And makes mortals see other things. But there's a scene where Grover has his pants off. He's a satyr. He's part goat, part human. And he has his toes painted. But obviously they're not toes because he's half goat. Maybe the mist worked and they thought they were just painting 2 giant toes. I don't know. But that's not even really the important stuff. Luke, we find out he betrayed them in the first movie, which is kind of the same because we find out he betrayed them in the first book, but it's like at the very end we find out he betrayed them when there's like 32 minutes left, and then they also fight him, though he just kind of poisons Percy in the book near the end of the movie to try and get rid of the evidence or whatever. I don't remember why he poisoned him. What else? Oh, they also took another kind of big part of the books and ruined it. In the books, they are not able to use phones and shit because then the monsters can easily find them or whatever. Not only do they use a phone in one scene, they use a whole ass laptop. Percy uses the phone to try and, look at Medusa without looking at her. And he eventually kills her while she looks at the phone. Even though they're not supposed to have phones. And then later in the movie, there's a laptop. And the whole reason the laptop scene breaks the book too. Because the book, Percy, doesn't, want to go anywhere high because that's Zeus's domain and he'll get struck out of the sky or whatever. So he never, uses the flying shoes in the book. Grover ends up using them. Like, literally after he gets them, like a few pages later, he's like, Grover, I can't use these. I just didn't want to hurt Luke's feelings or whatever. And he gives them to Grover. And in the movie, he uses it for one scene. He's not very good with it. And then he gets the pearl. And then right after, he's really good with it. Flies around, cuts all their heads off, and then he's like, yeah, I'm a badass. How are you so good with it now? You weren't good with it a few seconds ago. This movie was just, really ridiculous and kind of boring. And like I said, really different from the book. And then, I guess they kind of tried to be like the book. But at the same time, they didn't. In the book, Annabeth tries to get past Cerberus, a three-headed dog. And she, throws something. In the movie, they don't really do anything like that, but there's 3 dogs in the movie. So I guess they were kind of like, well, that's all you get, is these 3 CGI dogs. This movie's just so crappy, I could talk about it for a long time. But I would still probably leave some stuff out. Oh, another thing, because the gods, the big 3, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon, aren't supposed to have kids. So no one would know if they had a kid until we started to see their powers. Well, in the case of the movie, 17 minutes in, Chiron is like, oh yeah, you're the son of Poseidon. And he's like, why didn't you tell me? What do you mean? How did he even know? You haven't done any of your powers yet. You ran away from Miss Dodds when she showed her true form and was scared to death. And then there was a scene where you read ancient Greek. How does he know you're the son of Poseidon? This movie is just so bad. I know, like I've already said, Grover was just, not very good. He acted nothing like Grover. And I'm not saying that Grover was some badass in the book or anything like that. But Grover was way better and more interesting of a character in the book, too. I can't really think of anything else to say. Probably remember after I'm done recording. Yeah, can't really think of anything else. But yeah, this movie really wasn't worth the rewatch. And soon I'll be rewatching the second movie. Hopefully it's a little bit better. I do remember that they do put some of the book stuff in that one, because that one has the mist. Oh yeah, I forgot another thing. They completely left out that Percy was a troublemaker in the book. He's a bit sarcastic and he stands up to his stepdad. But that's literally it. In the books, he was like suspended from multiple schools until he eventually got into one where Percy and Grover were there. No, Grover and Chiron. Then he eventually overheard them, and then that's how he found out anyway. And he was really mad at Grover for lying to him. Then he ended up ditching Grover while Grover was in the bathroom, which led to bad stuff happening. And in this movie, they're just like, yeah, here's a pen, defend yourself when you need it. That's all you need. Now go to camp. This movie was just, so terrible and so rushed. So much shit happened in 20 minutes. But then, right after that, so little happened. They also left out another thing that I thought I really liked in the book. Was that Sally and Gabe had this little thing where Gabe didn't think there was really much blue foods. So Sally would just make a lot of blue stuff, including blue Coke, which is what Percy would drink after he thought his mom died. Well, he drinks something in this, and it looks nothing like blue Coke. It's not even blue. So I guess they're just gonna leave that out, too. Like, they left in the minor thing of him reading something, and then Miss Dodd's like, yep, I guess he's a demigod since he wasn't able to solve it. But they couldn't, leave in that. Because in the book, they're able to, just eat whatever they want as long as it's non-alcoholic. They're able to, make anything appear. Mac and cheese, steak, whatever. And then whatever drink they want, too. And it could refill or whatever you want. The only thing is you have to, get rid of, the best piece and sacrifice it to the gods or whatever. They don't do that in the movie either. They just show a scene of him talking to Annabeth. He takes a drink. Oh, there's Hades. Oh, he's leaving now. It just really wasn't that good. There's a few other things I wanted to talk about, but I forgot them already. He also masters his powers way too fast. We have one scene where he heals himself after Poseidon tells him to go to the water. And that is the first time he uses his power. Later, he's able to heal Annabeth after the encounter with Medusa. And he says, watch this, kind of showing off. So, how does he already mastered his powers? He just used them. And then, of course, there's a scene where he, tries to drown Luke. And then there's another scene where, he uses the water to distract the Hydra. He just, got way too good with it way too fast, if I do say so, and I do. And I really didn't like that they got rid of the whole thing of, him not knowing he was, Poseidon's son until later. And then when he did find out, he got really sad. Because he lived in his very own cabin by himself. Because there was obviously no other sons of Poseidon. He didn't really care for the Hermes cabin. But once, he started living by himself, he started to miss it. And I thought that was a cool detail in the book, but they got rid of that too. And then eventually he does get, I think His name is Tyson the Cyclops, who is his half-brother. Lives in the cabin with him for a while. I don't even remember what happens to him in the book series. I don't remember if he died or what. But I honestly don't really remember him that much in the books. Oh well. So, I guess I'll talk more about the next movie.